Hi everybody, Jessie here from jessiebanks.com and welcome back to another video. So for today I have for you a fun one. I'm using a sentiment stamp here from CC Designs. This one is their thank you stamp set. I'm also pulling out the spring flowers and more spring flowers from Simon Says Stamp, and we're going to be painting everything up on some Arches 140 pound cold press watercolor paper with my Pinkfresh Studios liquid watercolors. So I'm starting off by stamping this sentiment just a couple times using MFT Extreme Black ink. That ink is great for Copics and watercolors and the whole 9 yards. I will trace over this after to make it bold and black, but that gives me where the sentiment's going to be before I start adding in all of our little embossed images and things to watercolor after. So I was going to do it with a block, and then I remembered I was using cold press paper, so I like to stamp everything twice, which meant that I needed to pull out a stamp positioning tool in order to do that and make my life easier. We're embossing or stamping it with Versamark ink, and then I'm embossing it with Altenew's rose gold embossing powder. All the links to everything will be in the description box below, so that will be super easy for you guys to find. I do use affiliate links where possible. All that means is I get a small commission. It doesn't cost you guys any more money, and it allows me to buy different things to try here on the channel and over on my blog, and I really appreciate all of the support with those of you that do use those links. I have cut out masks of all of these as we go along. They don't stick very well to this watercolor paper, and they don't stick very well to the embossing, so I have to kind of be a little finicky with them in order to place them and then put the other images on top and stamp them out. But it all works out in the end. I'll just put it back on again here, and I just put that magnet slightly over it to help hold it in place, as you can see, and then we stamp those couple images again, embossing them with the rose gold paper. This is using my heat tool here. It's a Milwaukee heat tool. I think they're still made, but they're branded under a different name. If I can find them, I will link them again in the description box below. But I am letting that heat tool heat up really, really hot, and then I'm embossing it, and as soon as it's shiny, I'm quitting. And I'm hitting it from the top and the bottom, even if I'm not showing you that in every time I'm embossing during this card. I left the entire process in. I think it's fun sometimes to see the entire thing instead of watching somebody emboss one or two and coming back with this whole card done. You can kind of see how the different layers layer together and all of that. But as soon as it's shiny, I quit with the heat tool because I don't want to overbake that embossing powder. I just want it nice and shiny. Doing it over top of a piece of paper and filtering it back into the container. Some people put them in different containers and use spoons. I do that with lots of the ones I use lots, like my white or my clear black. The rose gold I'm just doing over top of the paper and putting it back in. I'm not using a coffee filter or anything, but you can use whatever you have handy. So we're just going to add one more flower here and a little bit of a leaf just to finish off this bottom corner, and that will be it for the embossing and stamping on this card, and we'll get into the painting. So I'm going to tape this down using some blue painter's tape. There's all sorts of different tapes on the market. Blue, green, the purple stuff from Thermoweb. I'm sure it's all great. I paint residential and commercial property for a living, so I take it out of the work van. But it is 3M blue painter's tape is what I am using. So I'm taping that down onto my Epicurean board. I picked that up at Bed Bath & Beyond, I do believe. And I'm pulling out some brushes and my Pinkfresh Studio watercolors here, and I'm just going to put a little bit of them into this ceramic plate, and we're going to start painting. This is probably one of my favorite parts, is painting up flowers. It's probably my favorite thing to do when it comes to any sort of watercoloring or things of that nature. I am starting out with some of the pink here and dropping it into the base of the flowers once they're wet, and then I'm just letting it kind of flow and do its own thing. The nice thing about embossing, my head's in the way, that's funny. Anyway, the nice thing about embossing it is that embossing powder holds your watercolor in, so it's not actually going to flow outside of those lines or anywhere where you don't want it to be. So it's a really nice way to be able to do like those loose flowy washes where you drop the color in and it kind of explodes into the rest of the flower. I'm talking with my hands and you guys can't even see me. I digress. Where it kind of explodes into the rest of the water and flows around, but it's not going to flow outside of those lines because the embossing is going to keep it exactly where you want it to be, which I like because it makes it look really, really loose and flowy, and you get to be really, really in control because it doesn't go outside the lines. So on those 3 flowers, I am just going to put in that layer of pink to start things off. And then I don't know what color we move on to next. I started filming this one a while ago, and I actually just finished it up this morning, so Figured it's been taped to this board for a long time and I really like the way the card's looking. We should finish it and get it up on the channel here for you guys. I've really been trying to do a lot more videos as opposed to just posting things on my blog and putting haul videos on my channel, because I really do enjoy sharing processes and what I'm doing with different stamps and different mediums and things of that nature to share with you guys all. I do believe this one is called Lime Peel or Limeade. They're down beside me, but I don't want to make a bunch of racket pulling them out, so I'm just going to do the same process as I did with those flowers and drop that green paint in there just to start off the basics of the leaves. This card was super fun to put together. I really enjoy these watercolors. I think this is only the second or third time I've used them since I purchased them. I know, I'm so bad. I need to use them more. What else I need to use? My Gansai Tambi watercolors. Oh, I need to use those too. Oh, guys, I need to film a bunch of videos and start using all of the stuff that I have in my art room. But we're going to finish layering this color on now that I went on a tangent and feel terrible about the amount of crap I have that I haven't been using. Oh boy, I hope that didn't sound horrible. This is a new mic and I just breathed in really, really deep and that could have been really, really loud in your guys' ear and I won't know until the video's done. Anyway, dropping all of these colors in and just slowly building up the depth in those. Now I'm pulling out, this is that lavender color. It is a very, very light purple. I'm mixing it together with that pink just to give it a bit more color, and then I thought it was too light. So I'm adding in, I think that's Sapphire, and I'm just putting in like a little dab of it just to deepen it up a little bit. And you can see how that pink's kind of spreading and pushing those purples away. I am picking up the purple, the more purpley color, not just the bright pink. But we're just putting that in and dabbing it out to lighten it, just adding some more shadow in where the flower petals all come together and it'll be darker, and letting it fade back out to almost white at the end of the flowers. I hope everybody's been doing wonderfully. I've been posting a lot more videos again. I've been loving filming a lot more videos again. I picked up this new mic. I've noticed that the sound quality in the videos is a lot better. I have to be a lot careful with the noise I make around me, but it's really nice to have a better quality sound for you guys. I'm slowly upgrading everything. I hope in the next little bit, when my next YouTube revenue check comes in, or I get my next affiliate link check coming in, to pick up some lighting so that I can do all of my filming downstairs and have some big lights so everything's nice and bright for you guys all the time and I'm not having to be careful when I film, or all the shadows that I have bouncing around my videos. I'm really hoping to be able to step that up a bunch before this year is over. So fingers crossed we can get there, because that would be super exciting. I am now mixing in some yellow and some darker green and a little bit of brown to kind of try and find more of a sap green color. I really like to use that in most of my floral paintings. I have the original Daniel Smith one with the original quinacridone gold formula. I really do love sap green, and I find that a lot of the companies that come out with these don't really come out with that color. So if I mix like a lime green and a dark green and add a touch of yellow and a little bit of brown, I get something kind of close. And it makes me happy because that's a green I like to use on my leaves. So that's what we're doing here, is I'm just kind of mixing them together in order to get as close to a sap green as possible. If you guys are interested in that kind of thing, like color mixing and that kind of stuff, leave me a comment down below and I can pull out some of these sets, like this set, or like the Altenew set, or the Jane Davenport. I want to pick up some premium watercolors. I haven't done that yet. And just kind of mix together some of the colors that come in that set to be able to reach the colors that I like to use a lot of the time. Like sap green is a real big one. Quinacridone gold, mixing something close to that orangey yellow color. A lot of those don't come in these crafting sets, but they do give you the colors that they do give you, you can mix together to achieve that kind of a look if that's what you're after. Like I mixed yellow and brown to give me more of a quinacridone goldy type-esque color. I should have added a little orange to it, but it worked out for the center of that one flower, which I really enjoy doing that. So it's fun for me to mix colors and learn how to play and kind of play with some color theory knowledge and that kind of stuff. So I pulled out, this is that aqua color. I think it's called AQUAMARINE. And we're going to start dabbing that in just kind of messily and haphazardly in the background to start laying in some sky. I just decided that the white was a little bit too stark white, and I didn't really want to pull the green and the purple out into the background. I really wanted to keep it separate with that embossing and let the embossing kind of do its work and stand out as a little bit of a star from, a lot of the time I'll pull color, like I'll paint a flower and I'll pull the purple right out. But this is a different blue. Which one's this? This is Sapphire, and I'm really, really watering it down so that it is not concentrated at all to carry on with that flowy background and dabbing it out. Again, it's lots of water and a little bit of pigment. These liquid watercolors, as with all liquid watercolors, are super concentrated, and that color is usually pretty bold and pretty vibrant. There's a couple that are more pastel-y, but for the most part, you're getting a lot of pigment packed into that little bit of, into that jar of liquid watercolor. So you have to add tons of water if you want loose, washy, light, more light colors. So that's what we're working on here and getting that all blended out. Then I don't know what I do next. Like I said, this was a while ago. Oh, I'm darkening up those shadow areas in the flowers. Again, I will do that once more before the card is over. I decided when I got it upstairs here that it needed a little bit more purple in the shadow part. So I do pull these back out and add a little bit more at the bitter end there, just so that I get the appearance that I want. Just dabbing them around and slowly blending them out, letting them do their thing. You have to remember that watercolors are going to dry a lot lighter than they go on. They have a big drying shift from dark to light. So what I did there was I showed you guys two pens. I started with that Prismacolor one, and it had like that blue appearance, like Sharpie marker kind of gets, where it's got that blue shift to it, and I didn't like it. So I went downstairs and I grabbed that second one. I kind of flashed across the screen. I can't read any writing on it. There is no English on this pen. I did pick it up at Michael's, I do believe, but it's got a brush tip on one end and a bullet tip on the other. And I went back over top with this pen, which gave it more of that flat black. It didn't have that blue shift to it. So this is where I pulled out that Sapphire and I added a little bit of the bubblegum pink to it to create a darker purple color to finish putting into these shadows, just to give those flowers a little bit more depth, which is what I was after, like I was saying earlier. And it's just the same process over and over again. And that's all I did for this card. I'm really happy with it. You guys will get to see me pull it off here and put it onto a card base. But if you guys aren't subscribed to my channel, I would love for you guys to subscribe. I appreciate it. And you get to see